That's an instruction. Good morning. Good morning, one and all. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday. It's Friday, and we're going to use the F word as much as we possibly can, aren't we, today? How are you? Has anyone here already sworn? Has anyone this morning really let rip in a sort of big way? I literally cannot hear anything at this ear. It's definitely wax, because when I do that, there's a click. So if I keep doing that, it's not that I'm glitching. I just can't hear. Anyway, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sharon Cox. Hope you're well. Minky Moo, Julie, who's just gifted a membership to someone. Who's going to get that? It's just landed. Stuart G, Fiona Cloder Egan, Fiona Cloder the Rebel Egan, Reed, Stuart G, Russ Out, Faith Goodman. What do you do if I blew really hard yesterday? And air, does this happen for anyone else? Or is this just me? I blew so hard, air flew out. I mean, I used to do that for the girls in the swimming pool when I was younger, when they were younger, when we were all younger. I mean, yesterday we were all younger. One fact of life is that yesterday we were younger than we are today. Happy International Women's Day, says Sharon Cox. I keep thinking of the women in Gaza trying to protect and feed their children and family. Absolutely. And of course, for many other women of other cultures and other countries, there's all sorts of other experiences too. Women who are experiencing just not the same. It's like a culture or a community or a people can experience one thing, and then women experience it times two. In some regards. I mean, in other regards, I suppose you could argue that in many countries it's the men who do the fighting. But you're right. Today is a day for women, and I think it's interesting to note that something we all accept as a normal, cherishable, important moment in the calendar. And I want to hear from you all about your woman of the day. Who's your woman or women of the day? Obviously, I've got 4 fabulous daughters, a fabulous wife, a fabulous mum. As I was sat there thinking today, I was thinking, who do I want my international? Not that it's a gift, garlanded, but when you sort of think, who does one want to throw the spotlight on? And we're going to look at some suggestions from of all publications. The Independent, they've suggested 50 important women, and I want to see if they chime with you. But I want you to tell me yours. For me, it's Nadia's and our friend Hannah. She's my woman of the day today. She's going to be on Loose Women talking about the terrible situation with this drug that could prolong her life, could transform her life. Because, of course, within prolongation of life, there is then the opening of further opportunities for the total elongation of life. So she's my woman of the day, Hannah. Darling Hannah, who I believe you could not possibly hope to meet a kinder person. And I just don't think those who know Hannah closely perhaps even know just how wonderful she is. I've had the privilege of spending very few times with her. Sorry, my ear is painful. Very few times with her, but the times I have spent with her, I don't think I've ever met a more open heart, a more open-faced, a more compassionate, empathetic, enthusiastic, beautiful person. I don't say that about too many people. I mean, beautiful as in she really is beautiful. And despite all of the things that have been hurled her way, despite every hurdle she's overcome, despite every sort of new piece of difficult news, ambiguous news, what have you, she greets it. She greets it in a manner that could teach us all huge lessons on how to be grateful for the things that we have. So a huge International Women's Day and tribute to dear Hannah. And I hope it goes well on Loose Women. And please sign the petition to get this drug accepted by NHS England. I'll pop the link beneath this live too. Of course, alongside that, there are all those women in all of our lives who are incredibly important. Let's have a little read through. Who have we got here? Alex Patton. I'll pop them up. This is like swap shop. Let's do swap shop. Alex Patton. Definitely my mum. She's been in hospital since December, and we're hoping she'll be out in time for Mother's Day. It's been a journey. Alex, sending you love and your mother love. Who else have we got? My friend Debbie, says Gabrielle, who reached out to me and invited me round, knowing I was struggling. Oh, a huge hug and kisses to Debbie, but also to you, Gabrielle, too. Lee, I think I saw Lee Durrant. I think I saw your mum there come up. You wanted it for your mum. May Edmondson, my mum, my woman of the day, besides my mum, of course, is the doctor in A&E who ignored the advice of a male doctor who typecast me and actually took my symptoms seriously, as I wasn't well. There you go. Wow. Lots of people here saying mum, raspberry mojito girl. Julie, lost my mum in 2013. Stuart G, my mum. Raspberry mojito, my cousin Amanda, birthday today, and friend Wendy too. Cheney Scam, loving the Reading vlogs. I keep thinking that reads as reading, doesn't it? Maybe says mum. Of course, lots of people saying their mums. But mums have got Mother's Day coming. Yeah, it doesn't have to be your mum. I'm not saying it shouldn't be your mum. But we've got, Mother's Day around the corner. But anyway, interesting to know that International Women's Day originated, it's a communist, a socialist thing. It was born it came from communist origins. It was started the seeds were planted in 1908 when 15,000 women marched through New York City demanding shorter working hours, better pay, and the right to vote. A year later, the Socialist Party of America declared the first National Women's Day. And you know the way in which the word socialist is much maligned, isn't it? It becomes a dirty word. It's like, well, you're a socialist or a communist, all that kind of stuff. Well, it doesn't just result in bad things. It doesn't just result in annoying things. It results in lovely things, because actually baked into socialism is egalitarianism and equality. But anyway, the Independent has got a suggested list here. And it's not about whether you agree, whether they should be on there or not. I mean, it's a curious one, isn't it? When you start to kind of get into this, who in the public eye is, because it's all relative, isn't it? It's all personal. It depends on where you're coming from. So for one person, I don't know, it might be Theresa May, who's resigned today, or has announced that she's not going to come back to Parliament. Chin chin, Theresa. Never thought we'd so want you back so badly. A steady hand on a steady ship. She likes to dance. She likes to sing. But anyway, no. So Theresa May, she might be someone's, International Women's Day person. But should we run through the list? Let's have a little look. Gemma Louisa, well done on your 6 months. 6 months. So who have we got? Number one, we've got Esther Gay. Is it Gay? Esther Gay, obviously the mother of Brianna. She's at the top there. And in their list, they're calling this powerful women who make things happen, change the conversation, and get what they want. It's an influence list. So number one is Esther Gay. I won't go through all of them. There's lots of them. Number two is Kate Garraway. She's had a tough old time. Number three is Claudia Winkleman. Number four is Mary Earps, goalkeeper. Number five is Sue Gray. Number six is the Queen, Camilla. Number seven is Hannah Waddingham. Everyone loves Hannah Waddingham. I don't not love her. I just haven't seen her in anything. I know she's in Ted Lasso. Number 8 is Rachel Reeves. Sorry, Sue Gray and Rachel Reeves I have to put to the side. I can't be getting on board with Labour Party members. Number 9, Ray, singer. Number 10, Anna Whitehouse. She's great, the mother social media personality, also known as Mother Pucker. Number 11, Emerald Fennell, director of Saltburn. Number 12, Merope Mills. What's Merope Mills? She's fought for families' right to demand second medical opinion following the death of her 13-year-old daughter, Martha. Merope Mills. Penny Mordaunt at 13. Alex Scott at 14. Carol Vorderman at 15. Are any of these resonating for any of you? I mean, Carol Vorderman? I don't know. That'll be an E, please, Bob. I need a P, please, Bob. No, that's Bob. That's Blockbusters. Is that Blockbusters? Hannah saw Hannah in a light music, but didn't enjoy it. She's musical theatre, right? Um, Ray, a little context if you care to listen. I found myself in a shit position. I like that. Those are lyrics. Love Vodders, says Anne Marie Shellard. Do you? She tries to be carried. I think a lot of people try to sort of marginalise her as batshit crazy, don't they? I love all the socialist women in Labour. Dawn Butler. I love Jess Phillips. I love the ones I like the ones who've stood up for humanity, basically. Ruth Blanford, absolutely. Kate Garraway has been through a lot. Some of these women, Rachel Reeves, no thanks. She was on the radio. I don't like her. I find her cocky and I find her pushy. And I thought this is just a personality. I just don't like her. Don't like the cut of a jib. Another careerist politician, I hate to say. Anyway, so yeah, International Women's Day. So remember, be kind, be generous, be thoughtful, be affectionate if it's appropriate. Don't be affectionate if it's not. Nanny Di is a warrior. She absolutely is. She's a tiny warrior, but she's a warrior. My mother, Nanny Di. Nanny Di is an absolutely fabulous lady. You got to give her credit where credit's due. She might be small, but she's big in impact. Joe Biden strung a sentence together yesterday, kept it together. He managed to kind of almost sort of sound vaguely coherent. He had obviously had a jab of some form and was on firing form, attacking everyone, kicking it back into Trump. He even quipped, and I do think this is quite witty. He said, "I'd quite like to have what do you call it? I've got it right now because I can't hear. I'd quite like to have some kind of dementia issue." He said, "If only I could. If only I was mentally compromised." Apparently, which I think is quite it's quite witty, I suppose, in a way. But yeah, in other news, Rupert Murdoch is marrying again at 92. What do we think of this? I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? Because sometimes one's response to a topic is informed by who the topic is attached to. So marrying in older age, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. We're currently watching Married at First Sight. Is that what we're watching? And they've got an old couple in there, or an older couple. They're not old; they're in their 60s, crikey. And it's lovely. It's just lovely to behold, and they're loved up and all that kind of malarkey. And at 92, I just sort of think, well, when I saw this story, my first response was, but it wasn't because he was 92. I think it was because it was Rupert Murdoch. It's not expensive for him, though, is it, May Edmondson? Who would want to marry him, says Ross? Well, I mean, lots of people want. I mean, he must lock them into all sorts of nuptials, prenups, and all that kind of stuff. So this is the story that Rupert Murdoch is marrying again at 92. He's marrying a retired molecular biologist, Eleanor Zhukova, 67. Maybe if she's a molecular biologist, maybe she's just marrying him because she's fascinated to know how he has no sort of he courts no ideas of mortality. Maybe Eleanor Zhukova, as a molecular biologist, is aware of something none of us are. That unfortunately, Rupert Murdoch is the exception to the genetic rule. He's going to live forever. And so she wants to get close to him to scrape a bit of skin off his nose, pop it into a Petri dish, and dash it off to her buddies in New York. What do you think? That's my theory. Call it a conspiracy theory if you want. Call it. I mean, it's out there, but that's lovely. I've just looked at his face, and I think he's had fillers. I haven't got a photo of him, I'm afraid. I think he's had fillers. I really do. Let me find him again. Yeah, he's had fillers. He's looking younger and younger. I mean, he's looking good. I mean, he's probably one of the wealthiest men on the planet. Maybe he has got the answers to immortality. And his molecular biologist, or maybe he's marrying her because she's like a human version of being able to give him moisturizer. Because of her molecular biology expertise, she just massages those cheeks on his face. Anna Marie Shellard, I can't believe he's still here, no offense, but I studied him in media studies 22 years ago. Always looked the same then now. Now he looks different. He looks younger. I mean, you've got to give credit where credit's due, though, right? It's Abramovich's ex-mother-in-law, Faith. Are you really? Oh my God, the whole interconnected galaxy at the top of the world, which is this strange conspiracy of lunatics all trying to eat us in KFC boxes, is getting a step closer. I can't get my head around it. Jesus Christ, just look at it when you touch it. What's that? Tracy, what? Look at what when you touch it. Look at what when you touch it. What? 92 fillers. I don't know if he has had fillers, but look, no. The point I want to make is, we all. Who thinks we live? Who thinks we almost caught old age? Is there a little part of us that even when we do this, if you do that, sometimes when I do that, if you do that in a room on your own, you know the phrase, if a tree falls and there's no one to hear it, has the tree fallen? Yes, I think so. But if there's a crack of thunder and there's no one on the planet, is there a crack of thunder? If there's no people and there's no thunder, is there thunder? And if there's a crack of people with thunder, is there no thunder in the box? And is there a cat in it? Do we live? So if you do this, and there's no one else around you, what you're saying to yourself is, I'm old. You're saying it to yourself. You're going, I'm old. And it's not that it doesn't hurt, but it's not. Ask yourself the next time you make a noise to get up, do you need to make all the noise? This is a big fucking question. This is important. Ask this of yourself, guys. When you get up and you make a noise, do you need to make the noise? Really, really ask yourself that. The next time you get up and make that noise, ask everyone in your family, anyone who knows you, say to them, next time I get up and I go, pull me up. Because I think we embrace age and we go, oh, I'm getting older. And I think there's a little part of us all that kind of goes, oh, what's that wonderful quote Nanny uses? Old age is the aggressive pursuit of comfort, or something like that. Children fall over, says Faith Goodman, but we have a fall. Yeah. A little bit like Israelis are killed and Palestinians just die. It's weird, isn't it? How Palestinians just die. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed how many Palestinians have gone and done that bloody awful? They've just died. Yeah. So anyway, my point is, he must have something about him to just, he's hitting 92. This is a man not thinking he's 92. Or this is a man who knows he's 92, but for him, 92 is just literally two numbers. And if you flip them the other way around, it spells 26. If you flip them both at the same time and put them in the opposite order. Do you get me? Come over here. It's a bit of sun over there. Come over and enjoy. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the old kickers box. I want to get you up there, mate. Get you up there. It eliminates the pain, says Claire Hayward. So the groan and moan moment, is that like an oral, don't get rude, is it an oral anaesthetic? Oh, mummy, I just call my mum mummy. Mummy, I'm not wearing my hat today, mum. That's a little bit on the spectrum, Ma, that you're insisting I wear my hat. Oh, Nanny don't want to know where's your hat. I don't know where my hat is, Mum. I don't know. This is embarrassing. I feel like it's like, what, when I'm up on the Oscar stage, you can say, where's your hat? Like tennis players serving. We're all talking in random riddles, and I love it. Henaint nidor il hunan. Welsh proverb, Ellen. Old age doesn't come on its own, or something like that. I like that, Ellen. Old age doesn't just come on its own. Old age is a point of view. Old age is an attitude. Old age is a theory and an ideology. Don't let it. Old age is fake news. And the other thing that happens as well with old age, I don't know if you get this, Mum, I'm not thinking of you when I say this at all. I am, totally. There's an aggression that comes with it, which is like, I'm just because I'm old. Mum, why don't you... I'm old. Have you noticed that with any of the older people? Because I can't do that. I'm so old. Jesus. I just wanted to make you a cup of tea. Just going to drink some blood. It's good, isn't it? Nanny diet's a massacre. Only if you want it to be, Mum. Can I be honest, Mum? Philip Roth was a miserable old bastard. He needed to cheer up. Good God, his flatulent depression. It's a massacre. Pretty good, that pronunciation. What, Ellen, was it? Nah, down in the valleys. Say it right again. I'll do it with a Welsh accent, which isn't me mocking or insulting or belittling or anything like that, I promise you. Laura Lou, my favourite part about my granddad being super old and losing his mind is how he talks about his childhood like he's back there. I think as we get older, time becomes meaningless. And I think we can access moments in our lives and we just go there and we're there. It's fantastic. What do you think? Except my mum, she doesn't access much because she can't remember it, Mum. Sometimes I have to hold my own mum's hand back in time. I have to take her there myself. And when I wasn't there, I'm a zygote, which is really hold her hand because I'm just like, Time makes more converts than reason. Thomas Paine. What was the great... I love that Mickey movie. Thomas Paine, what was his... He wrote after the American Civil War. Did he write a document? What was his document? Something proposition, was it? Or something like that? A decent proposal? A modest proposal? No, I'm thinking of Jonathan Swift, A Modest Proposal. Read that. That's interesting. Sammy J. Peach, thank you everyone for my birthday wishes. Feeling old at 52. Are you 52 today? 52 today. Have you got any hairs on your chin? Are you going white? You're a silver fox. Lee Durrant, I'm a volunteer in a charity shop. Majority of customers are older and they have more energy than me. Get them to do 50 squats. If you want to feel better just for one day, Lee, just say to everyone in the shop, say, come on guys, 50 squats now. Go for it really hard. There's nothing wrong. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with making old people feel rubbish about not being able to do as much because maybe it'll inspire them to do it a bit better next time. I think it's, carrot, stick, carrot. It's like with my mum, sometimes when she's really, I don't know, I hear a lot of huffing and puffing upstairs. I think, oh, maybe I should go up and hide a stick. Get them doing burpees, says Good Ship Lollipop. Yeah, good idea, Good Ship Lollipop. Do that, Lee. And take a photo, film it, and send it to us. Gemma Perry, please sing Happy Birthday to me for Sunday, Mark. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Gemma. Happy birthday to you. Oh, Nanny died. I don't even know what you're talking about now. Mum, have you tripped over your book about art? She's using a book about that thick. Listen to this for the madness of my mum. And now, before anyone comes in here and starts going, you need to get railings for your mother. You need to pop her in an annex next door. You need to get a garden for her. You need to get her a boyfriend. She's gay. She doesn't want any of these things, guys. Don't think we don't want to cosset Nanny die and look after her and pop her in a little kind of canoodle and put her in the loft and just go, cozy, cozy, cozy. Of course we do. You know what she'd do? She'd do what Toffee does. See, Toffee ran into the room at that point. She'd bite the hand that fed her. So she don't want that stuff. And there comes a point, and there is a point, I don't know if any of you agree with this about old people, where you've got to be careful that you don't encroach upon their own freedoms. All right? I respect my mum a lot, so I ain't going to say to her, don't do this, that, the other. Anyway, every time I go to your flat, Mum, your flat is an absolute death trap. And it horrifies me, and we are getting Pat one, and we're going to get you one, Mum. A little buzzer that goes around your neck, which you're never going to wear. But anyway, here's the thing. So this is my mum's strategy for dealing with a trip hazard in her flat. Okay? A trip hazard in Nanny Di's flat. This is how she deals with it. So she has a tiny, tiny piece of cloth. I wouldn't call it a rug. I wouldn't call it I wouldn't call it anything. It's barely bigger than a flannel, and it's on the floor and it's stripy, but it's made of that material of the 70s that used to go onto kind of, fake plastic tables, like a tabletop, sort of almost like, it's kind of, it's like shuttered. It's like, anyway. And it's weird. And it's like the things that you make sushi in, like a bamboo roast. It's one of those. And as you walk in, that rides up, and so it's a trip hazard. And so my mum, really, really, really chuffed with herself, said, I've got a solution to that. And I looked down, I saw the solution. So what she's done is she's got a trip hazard, the rug. She doesn't move the rug. She kept the rug there, still a trip hazard. But to stop the rug being a trip hazard, she's put at one end of it a bigger trip hazard, which is a thick book about the story of art or 100 artists or something. You know, it's one of those. To keep the rug in place. So trip hazard, huge book, trip hazard on trip hazard. And when I was last there, the bamboo non-rug thing on the floor had ridden up, and the book was there, and you were backing away from me, Mum. And if I'd said take one more step back, you'd have gone over. Nanny Die's flat could be turned into an entire Saturday evening shiny floor entertainment show like Gladiators for old people. What you do is the start of the course is at the front door, getting in. And you have to move through a course. You have to get a book. You have to find a paracetamol. Then you go into your kitchen, Mum. And Mum, I'm shaming and naming and shaming. My mum's second drawer beneath the very sweet article she's still got, oh, bless her, of that's the book, Mum, 1001 Paintings to See Before You Die, which is even more hysterical because, this is dark, Mum, because if you fall and die on that floor, and I have the keys, and if I come and find you, imagine how I'll feel if you die on the floor with 1001 paintings before you die. Please open it and look at one of them. That's dark, but that's me and your mum. That's me and my mum, you see. It's been, Mum, we've been dark, haven't we, since I've known you? Well, it was very dark when I was in you as a baby, but it's been dark, hasn't it? Sandy, that's why I like Nanny Di. She doesn't conform. She's independent and doesn't do what anyone says. That's what makes her her. Love her. Tell that to every idiot who comes on going, you need to do this for her. You're... Michelle pulls them all down. She goes, oh, God, we've got a whole load of other people pretending Nanny Di is abused. Oh, my God. Mum, tell them the truth. Yeah, what are the wrist alarms, Anna Charolumbus? We're getting one for Pat. There's one that Age Concern have, isn't there, which is like a Fitbit. But try and curtail my mother in anything she does, which, to be brutally honest, I mean, none of it is kind of, Olympic, but you can't stop her from her well-trodden path. Can we, Mum? You know what you're going to do. And it's sweet because you now navigate your way around 1001 paintings to see when you're dead. That's what we should call that book. Okay. Mum, would you marry at 96? Mum, I've never asked you the question, Mum. Could you ever see yourself falling in love again? God, it'd be a lot of effort, wouldn't it, Mum? I mean, to be honest with you, every one of your relationships has been hugely exhausting just for me. Absolutely exhausting. You could not vacuum in my mum's flat. You can't, because there's so many layers of different things everywhere. I mean, the girls love Nan's flat. It's just like, it is a cornucopia of activity for the eyes. So there we go. Nanny Di wins International Women's Day. There you go, Mum. Nanny Di is a lot of people's International Women's Day. So that's actually a list of sort of weird women on the. I think obviously there's the ones who've gone through terrible personal tragedy. Kemi Badenoch, Tori, no thanks. Amy Dowden, yeah. Olivia Colman, brilliant. Gillian Anderson, she rocks. Floella Benjamin, Tracy Emin. Who else have we got on there? Charlotte Tilbury. Zadie Smith. I mean, I feel like they've just gone through a list of all the women they know. I feel like they've just gone through all the women that have been in, all the women who've been in the news. Oh, sorry, that blood is getting to me. Little Sims, Munro Bergdorf, Pat Cullen, Sarah Pascoe, Bridget Phillipson, Sarah Ferguson. I mean, yeah, it's a curious list. It's like let's just name lots of women that we all know. Okay, guys. Obviously, we're going to be doing the BBC quiz in a tick. Oh, we're at 30 minutes already. Okay. I just want to talk about London is no go for Jewish people. This is important. London is becoming a no go zone. This is obviously we're going to tickle at the edges of the well, not tickle at the edges. We're going to directly deal with the Israel-Gaza crisis. London becoming a no go zone for Jews. A Home Office commissioner warned that extremist groups had gone unchallenged for too long. It's interesting to note that when you look at the chap that the government has put in charge of this, I'm trying to find his name. It doesn't have his name here. He's basically a sort of academic who's involved with anti-Islam, dealing with anti-Islam kind of literature, and he comes from an anti-Islam sort of perspective. Now I'm not entirely sure whether it's anti-Islam or anti-Islamist. So anyway, so London becoming a Home Office commissioner has warned that extremist groups have gone unchallenged for too long. I find these stories really troubling, not because they're not necessarily true. I was listening just before we came on. I came on here to a Jewish woman who'd rung in. Nanny died. That statement is not true. Say it as it is, Mum. It's stagger. This is staggeringly. This is difficult to grapple with because, of course, on the one hand, what you've got to acknowledge is no one who isn't Jewish can say that. I'm not Jewish, so I can't with any reason say it's not anti-Jewish, it's not anti-Semitic. You're not threatened in the same way that I can't say that. I can't say that because I haven't experienced it. I'm not of it. I'm not, so which equally means you equally can't say it's not Islamophobic or it's not all this kind of stuff. What I can say is that if what chicken and egg, what comes first? This isn't to say that Jewish people perhaps don't feel, I'm not disputing that a lot of Jewish people feel that, let's say London specifically with the marches and everything, they feel it isn't as safe a place or isn't as amenable a place. Well, I can kind of understand that, not because people are anti-Semitic, but I would look at it through the opposite end of the kind of microscope. But because a country is enacting the most egregious civil rights, human rights, international breaking of international laws, genocidal actions, policies, etc., against a nation. And that country have really dangerously conflated any criticism of them with a criticism of being Jewish or being anti-Semitic. That has come from not the people I've seen on the march, certainly that I was on, and the marches that Nadia's been on, certainly not from the vast number of Jewish people, Israeli people, Orthodox Jewish people who are on the marches who presumably wouldn't be there if they felt threatened, or there was not for saying there was so much frustration with Israel, there was not a scintilla of hate that I witnessed on the march. We're in an existential nightmare here where if you're in a march of 100,000 people and 6 idiots behave in an unruly, disruptive, hate-fueled fashion, much in the same way that huge numbers of the IDF and those people in Israel are preventing humanitarian aid going into Gaza. Let's call it out where we see it everywhere. If a few people do that, you cannot cast the entire march as that. And this is where the media kicks in and becomes a problem because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So my point being, it's a long roundabout way of getting there, is I'm sure there are many, many, many Jewish people who don't feel as safe in their hearts about going into London. But that, I am telling you now, is not necessarily a consequence of the marches or even the politics. It's a consequence of the press's coverage of the marches and the use of language like hate marches, the only homing in on photographs of the few bad eggs in a vast sea majority of good eggs. And so the press has created this reality, and that creates a feeling of fear. One will never be able to... Stargirl, what do you think about what I'm saying? What do you think about what I'm saying there? So you don't feel safe. And what's making you feel most unsafe? Is it that you have been dropped into the center of a march and hate has been aimed at you? Because I can categorically deny that would happen. Or is it that you feel that there's an atmosphere an atmosphere that you believe has been created by the marchers and the anti-Israel sensibility, or has it been the coverage of the marches and the coverage of anyone who is against the Israeli aggressions? Do you know what I mean? And I think and I would argue that even for people who are Jewish, it would be very difficult to distill between the two, unless, of course, you've had someone wielding a placard that says "Free Palestine" running at you and screaming at you. You know, when you get an instance like the instance that we talked about a lot at the Soho Theatre in London, where the idiot, I don't know if has he made a statement or commented on it since, the idiot comedian just created a really aggressive bullying atmosphere for a couple of Jewish members of the audience. That is utterly horrendous. Is that happening everywhere? No. Is that an isolated incident in which everyone went, that's wrong? Yes. Did I feel any of that sensibility on the march? Not at all. There was actually a moment of electricity and connection at the very point. Certainly, I saw there was a bank of Orthodox anti the state of Israel's Zionism, Hasidic Jews, Orthodox Jews, all standing with their beautiful hats, and they were all standing in their religious kind of observant kind of clothes, and the electricity that went through the crowd was one of connection. It was wow. And I think the feeling was, wow, this isn't about Jewish versus Muslim or even Israel versus, this is about humanity. So Stargirl, give us a bit more meat on the bones there. Give us, because I'm not saying you don't feel it, because obviously you feel it, but if you 100% don't feel safe, it's a Jewish hated city right now. I don't agree. But I really want to know what experience and what has made you feel that. Is it the Telegraph's repeated headlines? Is it the Daily Mail only homing in on the badly behaved people? And this is where the press has a responsibility. And this is where the press's responsibility has, gets ignored, because propaganda, control, and the peddling of lies can happen not by what is said, but by what is not said and what is not shown. Siobhan Jordan, that's not a naive question. How do you identify a Jewish person if they're wearing regular clothes? Absolutely. Well, that's a tricky one. And in fact, before the whole Gaza-Israel crisis, there was a lot of debate about whether there could be, given the lack of, the sense that you often don't know if you are talking to someone who is Jewish. So it's not that doesn't mean that if you are Jewish, and even though nobody knows you're Jewish, that you can't feel the hate or feel the sense of not being liked or loved. I think my argument would be that for the vast majority of Jewish people who are feeling that it's a hate-filled city, say on Saturdays when there are these marches, are there pauses at which, is there ever a moment whereby you pause and you go, actually, this isn't directed at me, this is directed at Israel? Or not even directed at Israel, but directed at Netanyahu? But I don't know if I genuinely want to hear your position, Stargirl. Yeah. Okay. Aaron Bullimore, unless they're in cultural or traditional dress, you can't clock any religion. But that kind of doesn't make you feel any safer. No, I agree. Alessia A, I am not 100% Jewish, but I have some Jewish DNA. Well, look, the sad irony of all of this, and I remember talking to Nadia's father about this. Oh, here we go, Stargirl. Some people wear Stars of David and yarmulkes. Also, some women are noticeably wearing wigs or in Jewish areas or shops. It can be easy to spot if you don't like Jewish people. No, you're right. Pretty much just like, certainly like, say, around my mum, it's a principally Bengali population. I mean, obviously, all areas of London have, there's a little, I mean, not that you can identify Portuguese, but there's lots of Portuguese restaurants in a little area near Vauxhall. But you know what I mean? So there are communities which are more heavily ethnically concentrated. But But that's why I'm curious to know. I mean, it's weird, because like for me, I've been meaning to look into this. I don't know where Tottenham Hotspur and the management and all that kind of stuff sort of sits with this, because I've been a Tottenham fan all my life, and they are widely, associated as, identified, and the racism that they've experienced, it always struck me as so horrible. In the few Tottenham matches I went to, how the the away teams or the teams that you were playing against, their fans would chant anti-Semitic tropes and all this kind of stuff. It's horrible. So, when you see it and when you know it, when you feel it, you get it. And so in a weird way, I have been kind of, part of me had a bit of a kind of, my radar was working to see if I could feel what I felt a little bit at White Hart Lane when I used to go to see Spurs. And I didn't feel any of that. I haven't felt any of that anywhere. It's weird, isn't it? It's that weird thing of, I couldn't have an anti-Semitic thought if I tried. It's so palpably about humanity and unfairness and disproportionality that I find it shocking, and I find it really offensive and abusive when there is this conflation of a critical of Israel position and then it being conflated with anti-Semitism. I really do. I find it really, it's offensive, and it's in its own way, it's kind of race hate. If I call out some awful atrocity, which we have proof that the IDF has done, and then someone comes at you and goes, you're being anti-Semitic. Sorry, hang on a minute. No, you're not. That's really libelous and offensive. Cherry Blossom. My son has a Jewish name. He's nearing 30 and has always suffered anti-Semitism online. Around the age of 15, it's quite bad. Water off a duck's back to him, though. Has friends in Saudi who love him. Yeah, I mean, there are ways if you want to identify. I mean, all my favourite filmmakers are Jewish. I've never once thought in terms of, all my favourite filmmakers are Jewish. But if you think about it, they all are, pretty much. Grace Ann Martin, there's no doubt that some people out there will use any circumstances to fill their own bullish desire, but that certainly is not the majority of people. They are classing everyone the same. Yeah, and that's a really good point. And I think finally on this whole idea of London being a no-go area for Jews, it's not to say that that's the truth of some Jewish people's experiences, but because it's some Jewish people's experiences, it doesn't mean it's the truth. And that's really important to say that. It really is important to say that. And what I just wanted to mention about Teddy was the saddest part of all of this. And we've talked about Palestine has been the whole Palestinian question has been at our table for years. Not just this crisis. It's not something you talk about elsewhere because no one else wants to engage. And and the existence of a Palestinian state has been something that we've talked about for years. But one of the sad ironies of all of it is that when you meet and when you talk to them, when you look at the kind of day-to-day mechanics and goings on of an Israeli Jewish family and a Palestinian or an Arab family, there are so many crossovers in personality, in sort of food, in just cultural attitudes, in energy, in vibe. There's so much crossover to be had. This isn't about that there's an impossibility in living alongside each other. And this is where it's as important to call out, the Hamas desire to see, no Israeli state. That's not that's not good. You can't get on board with that. It has to be a two-state solution, but let's just go for a two-state solution, but not a two-state solution that's not really a two-state solution. So just want to quickly touch on this. Biden has announced that he's going to build a port. This is curious. He's going to build a port on the Gazan coast to get humanitarian aid in. I wanted to talk about how this is just ridiculous. So we've had the Hollywood nonsense of kind of aid drops. Hey, we're doing stuff. But all of this is what. So basically, the US is going to every other nth degree, potentially, to get aid in, other than pressing down firmly on Israel, sanctioning, not sending arms, not supporting, pushing against, demanding an immediate and permanent ceasefire. So rather than actually, rather than tell the toddler who's going absolutely nuts in the larder off, you just build a bigger larder, or you build another door into the back of the larder. This is madness. So they're going to build a port rather than and why? This clearly speaks to the fact that because Israel won't let any humanitarian aid in. And what does that mean? That means that they're in breach of all of the ICJ rulings. So on that note, I just wanted to, this is by the UN today. The UN have reminded us that the hostilities in Gaza have entered the 6th month. These 6 facts should keep us all awake at night. 1, more than 500,000 people are on the brink of famine. Children are dying of hunger. 2, in February, only half of the 224 aid missions planned were facilitated by Israel. 3, lawlessness is rampant and is hindering aid distribution. That's lawlessness due to desperation. 4, aid delivery methods of last resort like airdrops are common, increasingly common. 5, more than 160 UN staff have been killed. And 6, the remaining hostages have yet to be released. So clearly, the point there being on the hostages, this incredible destruction of Gaza hasn't even delivered on that. This hasn't even delivered on that. We know what to do to save lives, but we need the right conditions and guarantees. Here are 6 things that would make a difference. The UN. Humanitarian Chief, Martin Griffiths. 1, a ceasefire and full adherence to the rules of war. 2, additional entry points and supply routes and storage capacity in Gaza. 3, better protection for aid convoys. 4, free and safe movement of humanitarian supplies. 5, road repairs and clearance of an unexploded ordnance. And 6, a bigger role for the commercial sector. I mean, the mop up that needs to happen first. So they want to build a port. Can you fathom this? I want to pull up Greg J. Stoker, who is a Instagrammer, social media personage. He is a US military veteran, and he just does this better than anyone else could.
Adam, do you have 90 seconds to talk about Biden's proposed bullshit aid port in Gaza? I'm not going to get into the transatlantic diplomatic grab ass that's going into it, or what kind of Western security forces would have to secure the beachhead in Gaza, which will be another messy point. But what is behind it is that Biden needs to look good, but is struggling because that's impossible to do while supporting Israel unconditionally. Humanitarian aid needs to get in so his administration can push back against charges of genocidal complicity, because the masturbatory aid drop last weekend didn't cut it. And Israel cannot be trusted to handle it without another massacre, even if they agreed, which they wouldn't. This is pre-State of the Union address optics, because the administration does not want a ceasefire deal, and Israel definitely doesn't want one. Because even a temporary ceasefire under any conditions means defeat for Israel. Once they stop fighting, they won't be able to start again. For economic reasons, for political reasons, for morale reasons. How many Israeli citizens have, quote, reverse immigrated since October, and even before this summer during the judicial protests? 500,000? It's not a population who wants to fight, but they have no exit strategy, no achievable military goals, so they're going to George W. Bush, stay the course, like the U.S. did in Iraq. This aid port is both a playing for time measure and a mechanism for liberal appeasement. And we all know the truth. All those IDF reservists don't want to be in Gaza or up north. It's March. It's spring break. They want to be in their natural habitat, shitting their pants in a K-hole in Ibiza.
Shitting their pants in a K-hole in Ibiza. That's let's not forget, most of these IDF members are young, I would argue, somewhat brainwashed individuals who are probably thinking, what the hell has this got to do? This is not what I signed up to. This is not what I want to do. So he's spot on. He's spot on. He sums it up brilliantly. It's that wonderful American. He just cuts through it. There is the really quite sinister suggestion. And at this point, again, at what point we need to I think we need to attach a bit more kind of validity to this. I mean, I've seen in some quarters the idea that could this port for aid, could whatever the microscopic infrastructure they put in place for this port on the beach in Gaza, is this the beginning of a potential connecting the dots of America and Israel accessing the incredibly valuable oil beds, deposits that are in the sea? Could there be? There is also satellite imagery that proves that Israel has constructed, whilst they've destroyed everything in North Gaza, they've also managed somehow to construct a 7-kilometer usable road that dissects across the Gazan Strip. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute that these are all connected, but let's connect the dots just for a minute. Okay, so you have a multi-billion dollar oil reserve in the sea. The Palestinians are not allowed to access it. The Americans are saying they're going to build a port on the Gazan beach, and there's a road that dissects all the way through Gaza from Israel. Okay, I think, there would be a strong argument in a court of law to say there seem to be some connections here, and they are they all actually going to be happening under the auspices of help? I mean, this is the part of the whole Israel policy that absolutely astonishes me. So Israel have come out. This is something else. A final point on this before we just do the quiz and end up. Israel have actually admitted that they fired precisely. This is the astonishing way in which the Israeli PR machine, the IDF, managed to turn everything they do in that narcissistic equation of, if you do something wrong to me, it's your fault, and if I do something wrong to you, you made me do it. So the Israeli, I can believe this, but this landed this morning. Israeli troops have stated they fired precisely, quote, fired precisely at Palestinians rushing to get aid in an incident that left 115 people dead. The Israeli military, let's not forget, the American government have already said that we have to wait until there's an investigation. Who does the investigation? Oh, the IDF. The Israelis do the investigation. This is like saying to a murderer, can you investigate the crime you did or didn't do and tell us if you did it? So the Israeli military have said that they aimed precisely at those who posed a threat. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If you're in an area of a country where everyone is starving and you're starving them and there's the possibility of food, you have to accept that everyone is going to pose a threat because they're desperate. So to quote the Israeli armed forces, the command review found that IDF troops did not fire at the humanitarian convoy, but did fire at a number of suspects who approached the nearby forces and posed a threat to them. They've managed to turn, and that firing, how are they unpacking how that firing will have caused unbridled panic amongst the crowd? Okay, so you can't really divorce the targeted with the panic-stricken. But notice in that story, and the reason I've pulled this story is, notice how they've turned an act of utterly reprehensible slaughter in inhumane conditions that they've created into a virtue. Yes, we did it. They've not only admitted it, but they've said it's a virtue. Astonishing. It is the most astonishing PR. I mean, they've got PR teams just sat there working their way through all these kind of moments. What they've discovered is the best way to deal with this stuff is to admit it and then turn it into why we had to do it. Thus, everything is Hamas. You've just killed a load of kids. Oh, Hamas. You've killed this. It's Hamas. Come on. And that brings us to the end of, is there anything else? Biden talks? But yeah, Biden talks balls. It's all about, it's just about all that stuff. Marrying and I say, yeah. Okay, let's do the quiz of the week. Let's do quiz of the week.
Fuck off Friday.
And we're off. Get your pens and papers ready. I hope you're all ready. I hope you're all looking good. This is going to be a corker. I've got a feeling everyone's going to go into the weekend a winner. I really do. I think you are going to end up going into the weekend a winner. Okay, are you ready? It is twaddle. Jennifer Kando is the best word to describe it all is twaddle. Absolute twaddle. Okay, jingle. There you go. Let's do another jingle. I like the jingles because I don't know why. I always have this vision of you all rushing to a sideboard, pulling out a drawer, getting a pen. Am I totally... Am I denuded? Am I deluded? Something like that. Okay, there we go. Let's do it. Question 1. Singer Rihanna performed a star-studded pre-wedding celebration in India for the son of Asia's richest man. What is the name of the company the family owns? Is it A, the Adani Group, B, ArcelorMittal, or C, Reliance Industries? What is the name of the company the family owns for which Rihanna performed a star-studded pre-wedding celebration? Faith, I'm correct, am I? Oh, fantastic. A, Adani Group, B, ArcelorMittal, or C, Reliance Industries? Oh, word of the day, twaddle. The one that me and Maddie were talking about yesterday, we were looking at a monologue from some players. Tomfoolery. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, apologies if there is some awful kind of origin to that, but tomfoolery. It's not a. I went for a Darnay Group faith as well. Grace Ann Martin, Russ. So many. In fact, nearly all of you have fallen at the first hurdle, apart from. Come on. No, you all have. No one's going to get 7. C. Silcarney. Well done. Reliance Industries. Question 2. Former US Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, dropped out of the race for the White House after losing to Donald Trump in the most of the Super Tuesday primary elections. But in which state did she score a surprise win over me? Nikki Haley. She's so Haley, but she's not holy. A. North Carolina. B. Vermont. Or C. Washington, D.C. We briefly mentioned this. Which of those states did she score a surprise win? A. North Carolina. B. Vermont. Or C. What? Oh, God, sorry, I thought it was the other one. That's weird. I thought okay, sorry. We did cover this, and I got it wrong. I could have sworn they said it was Washington, D.C. It's B, Vermont. Question 3. Singer Ray dominated the Brit Awards, bagging 6 of the 7 prizes for which she'd been nominated, setting a record for the number won by any one act in a night. But who won International Artist of the Year? Was it A, Kylie Minogue, B, SZA, or SZA, or C, Taylor Swift? Who won International Artist of the Year? Was it, well done, Pixie Petal. Was it A, Kylie Minogue, B, SZA, SZA, or C, Taylor Swift? Dear Heart is saying Dua Lipa. It's B, SZA, SZA. B. Question 4. Thousands of Russians turned out to mark the funeral of Alexei Navalny, President Putin's most vocal critic. The theme tune to which blockbuster film was played as Navalny's coffin was lowered into the ground? A, Blade Runner, B, Gladiator, or C, Terminator 2, Judgment Day? The theme tune to which of those was played as his coffin was lowered into the ground? A, Blade Runner, B, Gladiator, or C, Terminator 2, Judgment Day? I love this detail. Siobhan Jordan, you're right. It's C, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I'll be back. Question 5. The £100 million the Church of England has marked for a new investment fund to help repair damage caused by its links to slavery was too little, a report reported, the Bishop of Croydon said. What was the name of the church fund which invested in a slaving company in the 18th century? Was it A, Queen Anne's Bounty, B, Queen Charlotte's Bounty, or C, Queen Mary's Bounty? This is the story earlier in the week that the church has put aside £100 million to sort of make reparations, if you like, to organisations, charitable funds, etc., projects to make amends for their involvement in slavery. The feeling was it should have been £1 billion, much more. How can you ever put a price on it? But what was the name of the church fund which invested in a slaving company in the 18th century? A, Queen Anne's Bounty, B, Queen Charlotte's Bounty, or C, Queen Mary's Bounty? Georgina Demetrio is correct. It's A, Queen Anne's Bounty. One of the UK's most remote GP practices, serving islands in the Outer Hebrides, offered a salary of £150,000 to attract new doctors to live and work there. On which island would they be based? A, Benbecula, B, Rum, or C, South Uist? Wow. The answer, I've been to. On which island would they be based? £150,000 to work as a doctor on one of the Outer Hebrides Islands. A, Benbecula, B, Rum, or C, South Uist? An astonishing landscape where, perversely, there are no trees in the Outer Hebrides. And I don't know if this is true. I mean, I remember when I asked someone, I don't know if it's a sort of urban or rural legend, that the majority of the trees were cut down in order to build the British Navy. The answer is A, Benbecula. But there is a sort of wind-swept, blighted beauty to the. They're like the Outer Hebrides are like stones that you skim, but just sat on the sea. A, Benbecula. Final question. The shirt that helped make Colin Firth a sex symbol as Mr. Darcy in the BBC's adaptation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice was sold for £25,000. I hope it's still got the sweat marks. An accompanying online auction of film and television memorabilia also features a signed script from which festive favourite? A. Die Hard, B. The Holiday, or C. Love Actually? Is it A. Die Hard, B. The Holiday, or C. Love Actually? Tracy Watt, beautiful place, love Scotland. Yeah, Scotland is absolutely gorgeous. Julia's got none correct. What are you saying? Carla Hatcham says Love Actually. Katie Faith says that. Katie Johnston, Fifi Cromack. All of you are right, Love Actually. So who got the highest? I'm imagining no one got 7 because I didn't see C come up for any of the first ones. So no telling of the porky pies in the old porky pie regions. Get your porky pies and shove them back in your bag. So what did we get there whilst you're totting up your scores? 1, Margaret O'Brien got. Russ got 5. That's good. Only 3 today. Nix. Katie Johnson 2. 1 correct. Julie. Faith Goodman 1. Oh, there's some sort of Pyrrhic victory there. It's like, yes, I'm owning it. I'm a loser this weekend. So let's just do it. Okay, guys, have a lovely day. There's lots of vlogs that have landed. There's lots more content coming your way. There is another chapter, 1 or 2 chapters to Reading coming your way. There's the first Green-Fingered Hell. It wasn't at Kew Gardens landing, where everything is cranking up and moving towards you. Have a lovely, lovely day, and hope you're